Okay, so today we are going to be discussing the flesh versus the spirit. The flesh versus the spirit. And we're going to, of course, the thing about flesh and spirit is it's basically God and man. It's basically God and man. It's significant, it's representative of the differences between God's way of looking at things and man's way of looking at things. Between God and man, between light and darkness. And you have to understand, I have to start from the creation so I can understand this difference quite clearly. Difference between God and man. Yes, God created man in his own image. Initially, yes, so to give him the opportunity to become like God. But man is actually extremely different from God. When God created man in his own image, was like he was making God is the maximum possible, right? So man, flesh, it's going to sound harsh and bad, but man, flesh is actually the minimum possible. Man is actually this human being, dust. Actually, the most despicable form of being possible. So when he created man in his image, was him giving man the access to become like God. So it was like him fixing things on the ultimate level. That is the most despicable thing, being given the opportunity to become the most honorable thing. That's why when Adam finally fell, he told him that after all, from dust you came, and to dust you shall return. That is, you're not even supposed to be here. I was trying to give you the opportunity, and you have shown yourself, you have messed it up, and now you are going back. So it is the severe dichotomy, spirit and flesh. That is why we're going to go into a lot of examples, but that's what I realize that sometimes I try to teach a lot in trying to give value. In my own mind, I think I'm trying to give as much value as possible. I don't, and then I came to realize that it's like I'm bombarding people with too many new ideas because these things are quite strange. So I want to just start giving very, very small snippets instead of trying to teach a whole lesson or a whole topic. I'll just go very, very brief, very, very micro aspects. So I'll try not to go into too many examples of flesh versus spirit, but or anything I'm doing at all. I'll just be giving small, small. Let's just take it gradually. I realize that gradually is better than snappily. And hastily. It works better. It's slower, but it stays. Whatever is achieved stays. When I try to teach too much, everything is lost at the end of the day. So, so the dichotomy is like God is the most high and man is the most low. So it's like a very good example for you to understand it is spirit is fire and flesh is dust. If you notice something about fire, no matter how you light a fire, if you even if you strike a match and you turn the match upside down, the fire is still pointing up. Fire always rises. Fire is always going up, whether it's smoky fire or nuclear fire. Nuclear fire doesn't have the smoke. It's just what do they call it? I've forgotten the how scientists explain it. But nuclear fire doesn't have smoke. That's why the sun doesn't produce smoke. It's just pure light. And even this contaminated fire that we have here, the fire reaction that has the smoke, it always still rises up. And then dust always falls down. If you go to your house, no matter if you have a house or anything, you always find dust. After some time, you find dust on the surfaces. But if you look at the ceiling, you never see dust there. Even if dust should rise, even if something should come, maybe a tornado or a car should come and rev, and the dust rises, it will always fall back down. And fire, even if you light the fire and you strike it down, it will always go back up. Even when you see like welders, where they put the fire under such pressure that it is forced to point down, then you see once the pressure reduces a bit, it goes back up. And you if you check the heat, always going back up. So fire goes up. So that is the ability to rise, and flesh is to fall. So I'll have to make a different video about this, about the blessing and the curse. But for now, you will now see that the blessing is the ability to rise with the fire, the ability to overcome the curse. The blessing is the ability to overcome the curse, and the curse is the inability to sustain the blessing. That's why dust, even when it rises, even when they promote it, so to speak, when it rises, when it is promoted, it will fall back down. I started with my many ideas. I wanted to just teach it very simply. You can see what I'm talking about. But let's do this. That will go back to the simpler version. And that is why I try not to teach too much. So the fire rises, and the dust rises, but it falls back down. And the fire, even when it falls, it goes back up. So in this slide, that is why God and man are so different. So God is trying to raise man to his level, and man is insisting on going back down to where he came from. So that is why you hear God say things like, "My ways are not your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts. As the heavens are higher than the earth, as fire always rises, keeps on going up. Heaven is up and up and up. So God is always rising. It's going. It's not just that they are different; they are actually headed in different directions. God is headed north, and man, flesh is headed south. So God is saying, take away this, forfeit this your ways, because our ways. I'm going to give another example. We're not going to that. We're not going to that. So, so basically, for today, videos are longer than I planned. I want to be making 3 to 4 minutes videos every 6 minutes. So for today, the most basic thing about I think of the most consistent, or they're all very consistent, but one of the most, I think, let me say, consistent examples of iterations of flesh and spirit is the fact that spirit is accommodating and flesh is selfish. Flesh does not accommodate. Flesh hinders. Spirit gives room for everybody to come in, for anything to come in, for any number to come in. Spirit accommodates. It has room. Or flesh restricts. Flesh, once it is there, nobody else can come in. So I will show you a good example now. You can see my hand. When I try to hit with this other hand, you see, it cannot go in. It cannot penetrate. Once this one is there, once there's something solid, nothing else can get in. With spirit, like with fire, if I light a fire and I have another stick or a matchstick that is lighted too, that fire can go into this fire and they will become one. I can amass as much fire as I want. I can take fire from Burkina Faso, I can take fire from Sierra Leone, I can take fire from Kenya, and put all of them together, they all bond together. But flesh, you can see, they have to stand apart. This one is here, you can see. They cannot blend. They cannot blend. They cannot come into one into another. So flesh is like I'm on my own, only me. Flesh basically is saying only me. And spirit is saying, no, it can be all of us. There's room for all of us. There's room for all of us. That brings us to the issue of I am the only one. Like I have, if you're familiar with some of my videos, the only one is not supposed to be only one. It's supposed to be many. God promised Abraham many. It was never supposed to be only one son or only one nation. It's always supposed to be many. So spirit, fire, once again, it accommodates and flesh restricts. Flesh wants to be the only one. So in that light, that is why you see an attribute of flesh in the human mindset. And this is why man is flesh. A human being is very, very narrow in his thinking, very, very biased. Once he has a perspective, he doesn't want anything else to come and contradict it. He is not open-minded. Spirit is open-mindedness. Another idea can come in and then to put it in together and try to find the context. Maybe like spirit, if spirit says this person is guilty and you say the person is not guilty, spirit, this is how nature spirit works. It will not just discard that not guilty claim. Flesh, if flesh says somebody is guilty and somebody says it is not guilty, flesh doesn't want to know. Anything else that contradicts this his original position is going to keep on hitting it away. It cannot penetrate him. And that's when you talk to religious people, even to scientists, everywhere that they are passionate about their ideas. If you talk to a scientist about religion and how spirits may have some credence, there must be some credibility to it, they turn a deaf ear. If you talk to a Christian about some of the things that may be questionable about Christianity, they'll turn a deaf ear. Talk to a Muslim too about things that may be questionable about Islam, they turn a deaf ear. They don't want to hear anything that contradicts their original position. They have this, what the scientists call the confirmation bias. But with a spirit, If you say this is white and somebody else says it is black, you will say, okay, why do you say it is black? You will listen to you, you will take it in, you will absorb it. That's how the fires mix. You will take it all into context and see, okay, what part of my own argument is wrong, what part of your argument is wrong, what part of mine is right, what part of yours is right. And you will blend it together. Then the wrong parts, I think maybe you can say it goes out as smoke, and the right part stays in as the fire. It continues to burn. So spirit is context. One of the attributes of spirit is that it is contextual, while flesh is perspective, only aspects. So spirit sees the whole and flesh sees the part. So flesh is my own side of the story, spirit is the context. What really happened? What is everybody's side of the story? When we get everybody's side of the story, the many witnesses, then we can have context and we can know what really happened. Like in the Bible, there's a place in, I think it's Proverbs. I'm not sure, but it's someone that said it. I will check it later on and put it in the. I will write it down for you. And he said that a witness, something about a witness seeming very, very credible. What he says seems very, very legitimate until you hear the cross examination, until you hear the second person come and say, until you hear the other side of the story. You know, say that, when this guy was talking about this, something, it was looking like he was so innocent. By the time the second person came, you started saying that, okay, as in, this guy may even be the guilty party. Because he only tell you the side that profits himself. He will not tell you what really happened. He will not tell you in context. He will take, if I tell he tells you the truth, he will tell you the truth. Only the aspects of the truth that profit him. So that is how flesh is. And spirit is the context. So God wants man to be contextual, to be truthful, to stop trying to side himself and to take the side of the truth so that if the truth condemns you, then you fix it, then you make yourself right, you make yourself worthy in truth, not by claims. Flesh gives you the opportunity to reject truths that do not favor you and hold on to only the truths that favor you. God wants you to have the whole truth, both the ones that favor you and the ones that do not. Then you correct the ones that don't favor you so that the truth itself will justify you. So if the truth itself justifies you, you become uncondemnable, you become unquestionable, you become untaintable, yeah, you become holy, so to speak. You become righteous when the truth itself justifies you. So that's what God wants. God wants to hold man to higher standards, and man wants to hold himself to these lower standards where he can do the wrong thing, but nobody should accuse him of doing the wrong thing. Don't judge me. No, you should be judged. Then you should correct what they are judging you about. You should be judged. They should correct what they are condemning, so that they can to get to a point that they can no longer condemn. But for some time they will still be condemned because you will still do it, and they'll correct it. You will do it, they'll correct it. You'll keep on improving until you get to the point where you have completely fixed it. There are other things about it, but I'm not going into that. Because like if you fix, you always the way God made I'll just stop there. So I think that's it for today. It's already longer than I planned. I thought I would make a 6 minute video. I'm back to over 10 minutes. So difference between spirit and flesh. For today, let us just know that the most important, the difference I'm going to focus on today is that spirit is context and flesh is perspective. Spirit is considerate, spirit accommodates, spirit makes room for others, for other sides of the story, for other people, for other things, for other aspects. While flesh is only one aspect, only this side. So that's why flesh is little and spirit is big. That's why spirit is high, because it is like context is that it has grown, it has become bigger, and flesh is little, very small. So we'll have to stop there. Um, my name is Funom Zock-Sock, and I created this channel so I could tell God's side of the story. If you're interested, I'll be happy to have you. I'll see you around.